begin this afternoon with a stunning plea from the family of a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein. It has upended the furor Donald Trump faces over the Epstein case. The family of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who was one of Jeffrey Epstein's most well-known accusers, has released a statement last night about remarks Donald Trump made on Tuesday. On Air Force One, Trump had said that he fell out with Jeffrey Epstein because he, quote, stole employees from him, including Virginia Roberts Giuffre. On that, the family says, quote, it was shocking to hear President Trump invoke our sister and say that he was aware that Virginia had been, quote, stolen from Mar-a-Lago. It makes us ask if he was aware of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's criminal actions, especially given his statement 2 years later that his good friend Jeffrey Epstein likes women on the younger side. No doubt about it. We and the public are asking for answers. Survivors deserve this. And on the possibility that Trump may pardon Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell, the family says this, quote, Ghislaine Maxwell is a monster who deserves to rot in prison for the rest of her life for the extraordinary violence and abuse she put not just our sister Virginia through, but many other survivors who may number in the thousands. The nightmares of being trafficked never left our sister, even more than 20 years later. She would wake up screaming about what happened to her. The government and the president should never consider giving Ghislaine Maxwell any leniency. Maxwell destroyed many young lives, and she was convicted for only a fraction of the crimes she actually committed. She must remain in prison. Anything less would go down in history as being one of the highest travesties of justice. White House responded to the family's statement, saying that Donald Trump was directly answering a question about Virginia Giuffre. As for Ghislaine Maxwell, quote, they say no leniency is being given or discussed. The family of Giuffre told The Atlantic that they are, quote, reeling from her suicide back in April, and they are speaking out right now, in part because Maxwell has offered to testify before Congress, but only if she's granted immunity. The family of a survivor demanding justice and asking the questions we all have about President Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein is where we start today with MSNBC legal correspondent, my friend Lisa Rubin, plus MSNBC political analyst and host of the Bulwark podcast. You know him well, Tim Miller, and former criminal division deputy chief at SDNY, MSNBC legal analyst and host of the new YouTube show Courtside, Christy Greenberg. All of us here this afternoon to try to make some sense of this. Christy, let's start with you. Your reaction to the family's statement.
Well, Donald Trump's statement, where he said that there were young women, plural, that were coming from Mar-a-Lago and being hired by Epstein and recruited from Maxwell, that raises a whole host of questions, not only about Donald Trump's knowledge, but about these women. In terms of the Maxwell case, only one of the victims was identified, Virginia Giuffre, as having come from Mar-a-Lago spa. So if there are other women, as Donald Trump has now said, there is more than enough here, putting on my former prosecutorial hat, there is more than enough here to warrant an investigation. So the question to Donald Trump should be, is he willing to order his Department of Justice to investigate? Who are these young women that worked at Mar-a-Lago that he then hired? Were they sex trafficked? And if so, by whom? If his spa was ground zero for recruiting these women to then sexually abuse, I would think the president would want to know about it. And then the next question is, if that investigation does happen, will he fully cooperate? Will Mar-a-Lago fully cooperate? I mean, these are really important questions. I think the family has every right to be asking them, and we should be asking them as well. And the person we should not be asking is Ghislaine Maxwell, because she is a liar. She is a proven liar. The people to be asking are the victims. Let's find the victims. Let's talk to the victims. Let's have an actual investigation here.
She's a proven liar and sex trafficker. Tim, I want you to sort of put your strategic communications former Republican hat on for a moment. Is the White House not dying to silence the president? The fact that on Air Force One, he would actually be able to think back to the year 2000 and remember who Virginia was, who, by the way, was under the age of 18. And he has hundreds, if not thousands, of employees at all of his properties. And he can specifically remember the employment of one specific underage employee who worked at his spa. Is that not a huge mistake for him to be talking about any of this?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that there's any strategic communications coming from the president on this point. I think the people around him surely would be wishing they were taking a different tact on this, because all his answer did was create more questions, right? I mean, you laid out one of them. Why does Donald Trump remember the details of a 16-year-old spa staffer at one of his clubs? When it's not as if Jeffrey Epstein was like poaching his general counsel or something like that. So I think that
Exactly.
that raises a lot of questions. It adds more questions because his timeline is actually off. Virginia Giuffre was taken and abducted and groomed from Mar-a-Lago, and then groomed by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell in the year 2000. And then Trump says that him and Epstein had the falling out in 2004, though Epstein was still a member of the club till 2007, right? So the timeline of this doesn't even lay out. And the other thing is, if we're just going to be purely cynical about this, and I think it's important we keep the victims, in mind first, but just looking at this politically, being purely cynical, as a talking point, the Trump White House had a decent one, which was that Jeffrey Epstein was a creep and he didn't realize it, and he threw him out in 2004 once he realized the extent of how big of a creep he was. That was like their talking point. I don't think that was a true talking point, but it was one that they had. And then Trump just changed it all of a sudden and made it about something else completely, something that's far less sympathetic to him and raises more questions.
Lisa, can you walk us through the Trump administration's interactions with Maxwell, like where we stand right now? Because again, this is a woman who has been convicted of sex trafficking, which took place over a decade.
Yeah. Well, Steph, the interaction and the timeline here is really curious because on July 14th, the Trump administration, through its Solicitor General, submitted a brief to the Supreme Court saying Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction should stand, that the sole basis that she advanced for challenging it in the Supreme Court was that she was entitled to basically claim protection under the same sweetheart deal that Epstein had gotten from Florida prosecutors. She claims now that deal was valid, and it should also extend to her because it covered his alleged co-conspirators, including but not limited to four named people, none of which were Ghislaine Maxwell. But that's the only basis on which she's challenging her conviction to the Supreme Court. The Solicitor General, John Sauer, another former criminal defense lawyer to Donald Trump, opposed that on the 14th. On the 15th is when Donald Trump was first confronted by the Wall Street Journal with the story about the birthday book. And very soon thereafter, that Friday, the Department of Justice gave another statement to the Wall Street Journal, basically saying, no, we didn't really brief him about the findings of our review of the Jeffrey Epstein files. We gave him an overview, but we're not going to say whether or not we told him that he was covered in that. By that Monday, that's when Todd Blanche was saying that he thought Ghislaine Maxwell had something to say, that he was going to pursue that line of investigation and have a conversation with her. He went down to Tallahassee, Florida, where Ghislaine Maxwell is now incarcerated, and had 2 days of conversations with her, not in the federal prison where she's serving time, but in a U.S. attorney's office. So she theoretically could be more comfortable during those conversations. We still don't know who else from the Department of Justice was there. We don't know how that conversation was recorded, if at all. And yet, we still don't know what the resolution is, right? Because at the same time that they are moving to unseal grand jury transcripts, which Christie and others have been insisting, rightly, are not going to show us much of anything, they have not said definitively that they will not offer a commutation or a pardon to Ghislaine Maxwell. And that's, Steph, where things stand.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Free thought is an epistemological viewpoint that asserts beliefs should be formed based on logic, reason, and empirical observation, rather than on authority, tradition, revelation, or dogma. It encourages individuals to think independently and critically about their beliefs and values. Free thinkers advocate for the use of reason and evidence in forming opinions and making decisions, promoting a rational approach to understanding the world. Are you someone who doesn't bend to the will of the conventional wisdom? Someone who rebels, who questions authority, who doesn't just watch the mainstream media manufacture consent? for the conventional wisdom and the social norms? If so, Tommy Nation Politics Podcast is a dynamic, independent podcast where I, Tommy, deliver incisive, progressive analysis on the stories, systems, and strategies shaping our democracy. With a knack for breaking down complex policies into relatable conversations, each episode features expert voices, grassroots perspectives, and unfiltered commentary. Whether you're a seasoned activist or just curious about how power works, Tommy Nation Politics Podcast equips you with the insights and inspiration to engage, ask questions, drive change, be free-thinking, innovative, and open-minded. Tommy Nation Politics Podcast.
Ever feel like the world is stuck on repeat, trapped in a loop of trends, opinions, and noise? If you're nodding right now, you might already be a free thinker. 1. You question everything, not to rebel, but to understand. 2. Your creativity thrives in uncertainty. 3. You'd rather stand alone than compromise your values. 4. You see contradictions as fuel, not flaws. 5. You're obsessed with ideas, not approval. Original thinkers don't fear the chaos of authenticity. They rewrite the rules. Are you ready to stop fitting in and start standing out?
Tommy Nation Politics Podcast presents Mastermind.
President Trump, frustrated that the controversy over his handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files won't go away, now says he had a falling out with the convicted sex offender because Epstein, quote, took people who worked for him at his Mar-a-Lago resort.
He took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like, when they steal people, I don't like it.
When asked if these workers were young women, Trump said yes.
Were some of them young women? Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Trump acknowledged one of those young women working at Mar-a-Lago who was hired by Epstein was Virginia Giuffre. Giuffre alleged Maxwell recruited her from Trump's Mar-a-Lago spa when she was just 16 years old, a meeting she detailed to the BBC's Panorama in 2019.
I ran over to my dad, who works on the tennis courts at Mar-a-Lago, and I said, "You're not going to believe it, Dad. I just got offered a job, an interview, but if he likes me for the interview, then I'm going to be, they're going to train me as a real masseuse, a real massage therapist."
Giuffre said she was sexually abused by both Epstein and Maxwell. She called Maxwell, quote, a monster worse than Epstein.
I was recruited at a very young age from Mar-a-Lago and entrapped in a world that I didn't understand, and I've been fighting that very world to this day, and I won't stop fighting.
Maxwell has denied Giuffre's allegations. Giuffre died by suicide in April.
I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
Just days ago, Maxwell met with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche behind closed doors for 9 hours. Now, lawyers for Maxwell, who is serving a 20-year prison sentence for trafficking minors to Epstein, wrote in a letter to Congress that she will not testify unless she is given immunity or clemency. She is also appealing to the Supreme Court to overturn her conviction. President Trump and Epstein were friendly for more than a decade. When Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump said the two men hadn't spoken in 15 years. Just this week, President Trump said that he had never had the privilege of visiting Epstein's private Caribbean island where young girls were allegedly sexually abused. George?
John Carl, thanks very much.
Ghislaine Maxwell approached me at the spa area. She was like this really bright Mary Poppins kind of a figure. And she said, oh, you're reading a book on massage therapy. And, we started talking. And she goes, oh, you know what? I know this guy. There's an opportunity, actually. If you want to become a real massage therapist, we can get you trained. You can come for the interview tonight. And if he likes you, then you'll be a real masseuse. And you'll get to see the world, and you'll get paid $200 per massage. And no alarm bells went off because it was this proper English lady who just looked so nice.
Epstein's victims have talked about how they weren't sure who this guy was, but because Ghislaine seemed so proper, surely it's got to be legit. Her posh upbringing, her accent, gave this veneer of respectability. Coming from a woman, I think that was incredibly manipulative, and I think it was absolutely critical in Epstein's operation.
My dad brought me over. He shakes hands with Ghislaine, who promises that she'll take good care of me and she will have someone drive me home. She led me up a staircase and we made a right into Jeffrey's room, and Jeffrey laying naked on the massage table. Jeffrey lifts his head up, looks at Ghislaine. Ghislaine looks at him, and I call it the Cheshire cat grin because his face just went like this, and it was like a nod of approval. Ghislaine got me quickly into here's the lotions, here's the oils, we're gonna each take half of his body so you can follow my instructions. It just looked like a legitimate massage. Then they also started asking me questions about my life. I really, really wanted this job, so I opened up to them. I said, look, this is an opportunity of a lifetime for me. I've been on the streets, I've been abused, and that's the worst thing that I could have done, because I just let them know that I'm vulnerable and I'm their perfect type. Ghislaine grabbed one foot, I grabbed the other, and she says, you always want to keep one hand on the body when you're massaging somebody. And then he turns over, and the entire thing changed. They said, take off your clothes. I had these little girl undies on, little hearts on them, I remember. And they were laughing at that because they like that. The younger you look, the better it is. It turned very sexual, and it was abuse straight away from both of them. I got paid $200, and the butler drove me home.
They acted very normal about the situation. They tried to validate what had happened. From the outside perspective, you understand the grooming involved and what transpired in that room, paying her heftily for the work that had been done, making it seem like it was appropriate what had transpired, and then inviting her back again.
The shame was immediate. I remember sitting at the bottom of my shower and crying my eyes out. I'd been on the streets, and I thought, well, maybe this is the lesser of two evils. I had the promise of an education, and maybe this is just how the world works. If abuse is so prevalent in my life, maybe that's just what it is. That's just life.
For individuals who've been sexually abused as a child, this confirms that they don't have any meaning beyond giving pleasure to somebody else. Of course, you'd expect them to go back, especially if there is even a glimmer of hope that maybe something good will come out of this. Because it's a really devastating feeling to be nothing.
Within the next few weeks, Jeffrey and Ghislaine told me that I need to quit my job with Mar-a-Lago because I'll be traveling with them as their traveling masseuse. You ask yourself, if I could talk to that 16-year-old girl again, what would you tell her? Bloody hell, I'd tell her to run for your life. But at 16, you just, I don't know. Yeah, I was very intimidated by these people.
What I call it is invisible chains. No, these girls were not tied up. And people will say, well, they kept coming back. Why did they keep coming back? These were not people to be crossed. These were very significant people with the ability, the power, the wealth to destroy a life if they wanted to.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. We are hearing from one of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims. Her name is Virginia Roberts Dufresne. In her first interview since Ghislaine Maxwell was denied bail this week, Maxwell is accused of helping Epstein sexually abuse underage girls. Now, this is the first time that Maxwell has faced criminal charges in connection with Epstein, despite accusations against her that extend back more than 2 decades now. Giuffre claims Maxwell, along with Epstein, recruited, groomed, and abused her. She lives in Australia now. She's married with 3 children, and we talked to her yesterday. She told us that she thinks Ghislaine Maxwell should spend the rest of her life behind bars.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics. Ladies and gentlemen, are you someone who doesn't bend to the will of the conventional wisdom? Someone who rebels? Bandwagon mentality. www.tommynationpolitics.com. We're free-thinking, innovative, totally open-minded. New independent progressive media, guys. We're thinking innovative, totally open-minded. New independent progressive media, guys. We're to shine the light beneath the cracks. The cracks, guys. The cracks of humanity. The cracks of our corrupt, corporate, captured government. Our cesspool of murdering, narcissistic, megalomaniac puppets of the rich, as I like to call them. I'm putting out feelers for the MAGA. I want to have, hopefully we can have a more of a conversational live with the MAGA people. I see Torres, man. I was having a conversation with him, and I was told to end the live because, I was saying the truth. You talk the truth, man. You tell the truth in certain instances, and like people, especially TikTok, they don't like it. This is my second attempt to reach MAGA. Look at them in the face, in the eyes, as American citizens, and ask them, why? Why are you going against your principles and values? Why are you guys pretending like there's nothing to see here? Like that memo was legit with Pam Bondi. This is more than just a Trump not releasing the files. This is you guys literally. Don't y'all have genes to get mad at or something? I don't know what that means, Punch Drunk. I don't know. Do I have genes? I have genes, but like, don't you guys have like sex traffickers to put in jail? Weren't you guys going after Pizzagate people? Huh? Weren't you guys going after the Rothschilds? And didn't Q tell you that underneath the covers was a villain in an Epstein file list, guys? So like, I don't really know what to tell you because like you've changed your tune completely. I mean, my genes are just fine. I can go look at genes anywhere. I've got Amazon. You guys don't seem to have principles and values, and that's my biggest problem. My biggest problem is you guys, we need a strong right wing, like Nancy Pelosi always says. Even Candace Owens is starting to fucking, even Candace Owens is starting to get unnerved by you guys. Listen to her. Candace, one of the great challenges. Oh my God, stupid YouTube with their commercials. Hold on, guys. Stupid YouTube with your commercials.
You guys, happy Monday. And I don't know that I am ever going to be able to forgive Trump for making me do what I'm about to do. The unthinkable. I am going to have to
She's gonna do the unthinkable, guys.
Barack Obama. I can't believe this. That's how bad the fallout is right now over Jeffrey Epstein.
Candace Owens is about to literally defend Barack Obama over here. Because you guys literally, you can't just take your principles and values, put them towards your heart, hold them close to yourself, and like literally just, take those and say, fuck Trump. My principles and values are literally more important than Trump. This is why I'm talking about, this is why literally like you guys saying that, this is a Judeo-Christian country. I don't know if you guys realize how much that backfires when you say that. Because you guys literally turn your back on Judeo-Christian principles every chance you get. Every time some orange menace comes along, you guys literally just fucking forget about those. So, like, you guys and your principles and values, like, please just don't reference Christianity when you talk about your principles. Because, like, you start to make Christianity look really bad, in my opinion. And Candace is too. Listen to her.
It just continues. And Trump seems to be hitting rock bottom in terms of communicating on this particular topic. And I'm looking back and I want Covfefe Trump back. That guy seems to be gone. Also, you guys, I'm kind of worried about Tucker Carlson's life. And I'll tell you why. Welcome back to Candace.
So, guys, there's a fallout between this Jeffrey Epstein files. Trump's continuing to hit rock bottom on the topic, and he blames Obama. He's starting to release an intelligence report that is true, but a complete distraction of...
Where do we begin? Okay, I think we should at first start with the montage that was actually put together by Breakthrough News. It's good to do this just to remind ourselves that we're not going crazy on the topic of Epstein. Take a listen.
How is it that my father can be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light? I'm trying to figure out how that's possible, right, Buck? It's almost like they're trying to protect those pedophiles for some reason. I can't imagine why, right?
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Your FBI director.
Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse.
This is J.D. Vance, your vice president.
But we release the list.
Release the list.
Seriously.
I have the list. I don't want to release it.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's...
This is my favorite hit.
Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Sit on my desk.
It's been a directive
my desk.
by President Trump. In this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs. We have information.
Got flight logs, bro.
That will come out.
I'm not ever going to let this story go because of what I heard from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeffrey
That's
Epstein.
Dan Bongino, your FBI deputy director.
Are you still talking
He's now in the
Jeffrey
administration.
Epstein? This guy's been talking
Here's
about
your president right now, guys.
You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable, guys.
All of these people are in power now. All of these people could certainly release the quote-unquote list. Is it exactly a list? Is it a network of contacts? Is it video footage of people that committed crimes against children? We don't know. And we may never know, which is leading some people to ask the question, like, is Trump actually in the Epstein files?
Duh.
And personally, my take on that is no. But what is...
I mean, she still can't get... She still can't fucking literally. You guys are just so funny. Like, your purposeful blindness is like, it's kind of adorable, but it's like, kind of like also like extremely hazardous to the health of America, if you know what I mean. So like, this is my topic of conversation that I want to like get you guys up to talk about, because I don't want to just like troll you. I don't want to talk smack to you like behind your backs. I want to look face to face in your eyes, and I want to talk to you about how you're failing America. How you guys have failed the Constitution when it came to the due process of illegal immigration. You failed our principles and values and our promise of welcoming the cold, the weathered immigrant. The poem on the Statue of Liberty, you disgraced this past year. You absolutely disgraced us. You ignored our Constitution and our naturalization laws, our Fourth Amendment rights. You let go of everything it means to be an American. In fact, you guys literally have in the Supreme Court a fight on naturalization of birth. You guys are literally actually fighting naturalized birth, right? Citizenship. Right now in this Supreme Court, you guys are literally fighting birthright citizenship. So I think that you guys, this is an intervention, really it is. You guys are literally, you've gone beyond the pale. You guys have gone beyond the fucking pale, okay? This is no longer politics where we're having discussions about tax cuts. while we're having discussions about district lines and where my kids are going to go to elementary school. We're now talking about birthright citizenship. We're now talking about neglecting due process and shipping even Americans, homegrown Americans, into prisons made for us in El Salvador. You guys are literally turning your back. Not only have you turned your back on Judeo-Christian principles, turned your back on American principles, and now you've turned your back on your own goddamn soapbox. So I've had it with you guys. I really have, guys. Are you guys gonna fucking man up or what? Are you gonna let people tread on you or what? Does Make America Great Again mean lick the boots of a fucking billionaire? Is that what that means? It doesn't mean America first. It means Trump's balls first. Is that what that means? I don't know. Even Candace is wondering, bro. But she can't get herself to fucking figure out if he's in the list or not. Even though he's fighting tooth and nail. He's fighting tooth and nail, bro, to not release it. But in Newsweek, guys, this was a long time ago. This was June 17th, 2024, almost a year ago. We knew that Donald Trump was on Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs. What we know. Newsweek. News article by Kate Plummer, investigative reporter. Donald Trump's alleged connection to Jeffrey Epstein has come under scrutiny again after the former president's son, Donald Trump Jr., said on Saturday that his father did not feature on a list of people associated with the sex offender. Epstein was indicted in 2019 on charges of operating a sex trafficking ring involving underage girls. Kind of like Pizzagate, guys, but real. After Virginia Robert Giuffre alleged he abused her as a minor. Now, Giuffre alleged that Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, aided in the abuse. Epstein was found dead in his jail cell. Unalived. In August 2019, as he was awaiting trial, Maxwell was found guilty in 2021 of luring teenage girls to be sexually abused by Epstein and sentenced to 20 years in prison. 20 years in prison, guys. But there's an update for Ghislaine Maxwell. It looks like she might have a deal with the DOJ.
And he did a really good job and mastered a lot of things.
Will you be heading home now? Is this the end of questioning here?
I'm headed home, yeah.
That's for Miss Maxwell.
You guys aren't working over the weekend?
No, we're not working over the weekend. We're done for the day.
We are following some breaking news for you now. The attorney for convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell says his client is willing to testify in front of Congress, but there is a catch. So we want to bring in CBS News Justice reporter Jake Rosen. He's following this from Washington. Okay, we'll testify before lawmakers, but a catch? What is the catch?
There are a couple, Reed. The first of which is that they want full immunity in front of this committee in case this testimony happens to unearth any new developments that could potentially be incriminating for Miss Maxwell. In a letter that was sent to Congressman James Comer, who heads the Republican-led Oversight Committee, which subpoenaed Maxwell last week, Attorney David Marcus, who represents Maxwell, said that they want immunity first. They would like to see any kind of questions that are asked of her ahead of time because of, quote, torturous conditions and an unconstitutional detention is what they've been arguing. They also say that any conversations would also likely need to happen after Maxwell's SCOTUS appeal is finalized. That is not going to happen for a number of months, likely until potentially late this fall or the end of this year. And in addition to that, Reed, they also don't rule out the possibility of testimony earlier if President Trump commutes Maxwell's sentence or potentially pardons her, saying that, of course, under those circumstances, they would be willing to kind of leave what we just discussed aside and come to the table earlier. This deposition was supposed to happen on August 11th, and it looks increasingly likely that that is not going to happen.
All right, and I'm also reading, they're saying Miss Maxwell did not receive a fair trial. How are they making that argument?
That's right. In the initial trial for Maxwell, there was a conversation under Jeffrey Epstein's first plea agreement in which he made with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Florida, in which attorneys in that office who led that investigation promised Epstein in 2007, when he came to that agreement, that no co-conspirators would be charged if he accepted that deal, which he did. However, a separate investigation was started in the Southern District of New York in New York City, in which the charges against Epstein later obviously resulting in his incarceration and then suicide, and Maxwell's now guilty conviction and now prison sentence. They argue that because that promise was made in Florida by a U.S. attorney, it should have applied to the new investigation, and where that resulted in Maxwell's conviction. Certainly there was some buy-in from a judge upon appeal, and the Supreme Court is going to have to sort out whether it is the case that it's possible that promises like that are actually, more than just a handshake agreement that the government can pull back on, or a binding agreement that should have applied to Maxwell and her conviction.
Testimony or anything like that. Of course, everybody knows that Miss Maxwell would welcome any relief. She's been in very difficult conditions for 5 years, and so she would welcome any relief. It's the right thing to do, and we have faith that the right thing will happen sooner rather than later.
Was there an ask from?
Sorry?
Did you get a sense of what the goal of
The goal is the truth. It's time for the truth to come out.
David, did she or you have an ask of the Deputy Attorney General?
No. There have been no asks and no promises, and nothing like that has been made.
Do you expect that, though?
What's the next step for in her process then?
Well, Congress has subpoenaed her to testify. We have to make a decision about whether she will do that or not. That's been scheduled for the week of August 11th, and we haven't gotten back to them yet on whether we'll do that.
You had said it was going to be based on how this meeting with the Deputy Attorney General went. Are you satisfied with how it went, and how would that inform your decision to participate in Congress?
I think Ghislaine did a wonderful job. She literally answered every question. She didn't say, you know what, don't ask me that. I'm not going to talk about this person. She was asked maybe about 100 different people. She answered questions about everybody, and she didn't hold anything back.
Was there any new information that came out from this interview that wasn't discussed during the trial?
Oh, the trial. There was so little discussed at the trial. A lot of people have said, why didn't she testify at trial? The case wasn't proven at trial. She has a Fifth Amendment right. Very different situation. I was surprised to hear folks that know better saying she should have testified at trial. That's silly. When the government doesn't prove their case, you don't testify. And so she didn't testify at trial, but it's a different situation now.
With the president even invoking the word pardon today, does she have an incentive to just tell the Deputy Attorney General what he wants to hear?
No, because she wants to tell the truth, because the truth can be corroborated or disproven. If she lies, they could charge her with lying.
They did charge her with perjury.
That was dropped. They did charge her with that. That was dropped. And it's interesting, right? Because the Southern District of New York had a very specific view of the case and charged her in a way that we believe was disproven and wrong. And that's what one of our goals is now, is to try to show how they got it wrong.
Trump's personal lawyer and the Department of Justice Deputy Attorney General had not only one, but 2 days of conversation with her, in which the last time I talked to you conservatives, you guys were sure, or you didn't want to assume, or maybe you didn't know for sure that there might be a deal, and he didn't think that he didn't even think to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. But that seems to be the buzz. The buzz also is that Trump's DOJ, the memo shows that the grand jury of the Maxwell's trial might reveal some loopholes in her convictions. This is very interesting, guys, because I thought that we were going to let sex traffickers pay the consequences for their criminal activities. But it seems as though your president, the one who ran on locking up the bad guys, is going to not only unseal grand jury information in the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell cases, and probably with a narrow effort, find some precedent to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell for her convicted sex trafficking crimes. Not only will that happen, guys, but it seems that the Epstein list will go once more beyond your reach and out of the reach of the public American hands. It's almost like as you've betrayed Judeo-Christian principles, you betrayed constitutional principles, you betrayed American foundational principles, and now you're about to betray your own principles. I don't really know what principles you really have, guys. I don't really know I don't know if you're real or not. Are you guys real? Do you bleed? Do you bleed? It's like that Batman v Superman movie. Except I'm really asking, guys, do you bleed? Because this is starting. If I was a conservative, if I was a right-winger, I would be bleeding right now. I would bleed hard. I would be bleeding from my nose, from my ears, from my head, from all the lies and the all of the wax that not only is the media giving you, not only is the DOJ giving you, not only is the administration of your president giving you, but the beatings that he himself is giving you on Truth Social, calling you weaklings, telling you he doesn't want your support anymore. Of course he doesn't want your support anymore. He's a lame duck. He's already passed his tax cuts for the rich. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't give a shit about anything else. All he wanted was his goddamn tax cuts, and he's got them now. So what the fuck does he need you for, weakling? I really love it when he tells the truth on Truth Social, bro. It's kind of funny. But yet, the funnier thing, guys, he was right about everything. Trump was right about everything. Bad boy. Trump was right about everything. Trump was right about you guys being weaklings. Except he left out the part about you guys being bootlickers too. Trump was right about that. I totally agree with you. Anyway, guys, I've got my first guest on, Bobby. He's brave enough to face the storm, holding you accountable. Tommy Nation Politics. How's it going, Bobby?
Yeah, why are you sitting here talking bad about Trump?
I mean, everything that I've said is just the facts, man. And I'm actually not talking bad about Trump anymore. I'm looking at you guys, and I'm holding you accountable for your actions.
And you sitting here saying we're not Christian because we voted for Trump. Well, see, first of all, let's get one thing straight.
That's the first argument you want to have here? All right, let's have it. Go ahead.
How can you be Christian and Democrat when y'all sit here and support those rainbow people?
So let me ask you what was in the Bible more, Bobby, if you want to have this conversation. Was the rainbow people of the Bible more, or was the first commandment, which was love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, mind, and body, in your Bible more? Which issue was in the Bible more? Which issue?
Love God more.
Okay. Which issue was in the Bible more? Was it the rainbow people, or was it the second commandment, which is love your neighbor as yourself? Which issue was in the Bible more? Was it the rainbow people, or was it the second commandment, which was the second greatest commandment? Okay, so let me just ask you, why is it that you bring up the rainbow people when you as a Christian are supposed to A, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and body, and B, love your neighbor as yourself? Why bring up the rainbow people and bring up that issue as if that is a platform or banner of Christianity? In which case it is an irrelevant. I haven't finished.
Jesus said, no. Let me finish, boy.
Let me just finish my question so you can answer.
That's the problem with you.
Bobby, I just want to finish my question so you can answer.
At the
Bobby,
end of the
let me
day,
just finish my
Jesus
question.
said, don't cast pearls on the
Bobby,
swine.
let me just finish my question so you can answer my question, because I want to know the answer. I'm not just talking to myself. You decided to come up here, so I'm asking you a question. Which issue was more important to Jesus Christ when he told Nicodemus the first and second greatest commandment? Was it the first, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and body? Second, love your neighbor as yourself. Or was it the rainbow people?
I'll answer that question. It's very simple.
Go ahead.
Take your ass back to the cotton fields. That's what the question is.
Okay, so see, you guys are absolutely weaklings. Trump was right about this. Trump was right about the fact that guys are weaklings. You're absolute dopes. And that's why he thought that he could actually blow past you with the memo that said, there's nothing to see here. Go back to bed and lick my boots. You guys are not only absolutely, you should be ashamed of yourselves as Christians. You should be ashamed of yourselves as American citizens. You should be ashamed of yourselves as human beings. Because A, as a human being, you need self-respect. B, as an American, you need to stand for our flag and our country and our birthright citizenship. And C, you guys need to fucking literally get your head out of Trump's boots and back on top of America first. Remember America first? I don't know what, guys, I don't know why I have to play Candace Owens in the morning just to remind you about America first.
Your opinion, because I can't reconcile this Donald Trump with the Trump that we're seeing right now, the Trump that is gaslighting the public right now, the Trump that I voted for across multiple elections. The Epstein scandal is definitely terminal cancer to Trump's MAGA movement. There's no question about that. I actually said to my husband this week, and we were talking about it, that in order for Trump to get out of this is how bad it is, in order for him to actually make the MAGA base forget this, like potentially move on from Jeffrey Epstein, he would essentially have to come right out and repeal income tax in the United States. And then we would be extremely happy. Everyone would be very happy.
The only thing, she's saying the only thing that could actually redeem you guys would be if Trump actually stopped income taxes. So you guys like, fuck the kids. Fuck the kids in the sex trafficking. Cut our taxes. And then we'll call it a day. You fucking right-wingers are hilarious, bro.
And then we'd go, actually, thanks
sex
Trump,
trafficking or
we still
taxes?
remember the Epstein
Either one.
scandal. And we want the list. That's how bad it is. There's just no making anybody forget about this Epstein scandal. It's a major fumble. And I want to be very clear, Trump's team knows that.
She went to college and she's very educated and she's smart and she's a smart woman. I don't understand why she's a right winger. I think it's because a liberal probably in college there was a story of a liberal. You know, liberals, they get emotional and then they get all handsy. I don't know. But she had a bad experience with one. Probably, but she didn't have to be a right winger. I don't understand why. There's more money that way, I guess, with your, Turning Point USA and all your billionaire fucking Peter Thiel, Palantir fucking funders. If I was a right winger, I'd have a fucking different fucking jacket every time you saw me. Literally. I would have like 5 bedrooms and I'd have a swimming pool in my fucking apartment, in my house, if I was a right winger. All I have to say is just like, fuck the Judeo-Christian principles. Cut my taxes. That's all I have to say. There's an update, guys, on this timeline of Trump's wonderful Epstein relationship. And the Time magazine will talk to you about this and a brief July 15th, 2025 update for you today.
Welcome to the Brief by Time. Today is July 15th, 2025. I'm Henry.
And I'm Lucy. We're your AI hosts here to break down the major stories from the Time newsroom.
Is that nice, guys?
The ongoing
AI
fallout
hosts.
between President Donald Trump and his MAGA base over the Epstein files, renewed calls for transparency, and Trump's latest moves on the global stage.
Let's start with Rebecca Schneid's updated timeline of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein's relationship. 6 years after Epstein's death, his connection with Trump is drawing intense scrutiny, especially in light of campaign promises to release files, which, so far, have not materialized.
Exactly. Trump had pledged during the campaign to make the so-called client list public. But the Department of Justice recently said there is actually no such incriminating list, and what's been released by Attorney General Pam Bondi is heavily redacted. That hasn't satisfied
guys.
critics, from MAGA supporters and Democrats alike.
So, not only did she release a memo that said there was no Epstein list, but she also gave influencers, right-winger influencers on TikTok, a book, a binder that said Epstein Files Phase 1, and she gave them a bunch of redacted bullshit. And they were carrying it around, taking pictures and shit. It was so fun. Like I said, guys, to be a right-winger influencer on TikTok, it's money. If I was a right-winger influencer, do you know how much money I would make just fucking walking around with a binder of redacted bullshit? That would be so fucking awesome. Sometimes I dream, guys. Sometimes I think about turning my backs on my principles and values and just fucking thinking about, oh, fuck my kids. Just cut my taxes. Sometimes I think about just being super selfish, completely boneheaded, and altogether non-principled. I'd be like a sponge or some kind of unevolved fucking amoeba, in the Cretaceous period before man's existence. And I think about, man, what if I was just like an amoeba that wasn't unevolved, like even before the Neanderthal came to be. And God, then I could just fucking pick up a binder and fucking take pictures with it on TikTok. Do you know how much money I would make just fucking holding a binder of redacted bullshit in my hand? My God, it would be a dream come true, bro. And I'd have a different jacket every day. Oh my God. I'd have a different jacket every day if I was a right-wing influencer. I'm sorry, guys. I'm dreaming about my Sunset Boulevard taste. Anyway, back to the... Where were we? Where were we again? Sorry, guys. Let's get back to reality.
With Trump urging his base to move on, skepticism endures. Elon Musk, for example, claimed the files weren't released because Trump might be in them, a claim Musk later deleted. Schneid's article walks us through the chronology. Trump told New York Magazine in 2002 he'd known Epstein for 15 years, dating their relationship to the late 80s.
Right. Epstein was present at multiple Mar-a-Lago parties, and flight logs show both Trump and his family flew on Epstein's private jet several times in the 90s. Their relationship began to sour after a business dispute in 2004.
So it was a business dispute in 2004. Do you know why the business dispute happened? Because Epstein was picking 17-year-olds in a spa in Mar-a-Lago, and he was taking them to his island. And Donald thought that was a little too close to home. You know, don't shit where you live. We can grab by the pussy, 12-year-olds, somewhere else. But don't go to Mar-a-Lago, and don't take my 17-year-olds, interns and don't sex traffic them. Because people will start to see that in West Palm Beach. And that's the reason why Epstein got caught, guys. Because he was shitting where he lived, bro. West Palm Beach. So Trump had to finally throw him out. But before that, guys, there's a whole list of fucking flight logs where in the 90s, Donald Trump had a ride. Papers contain emails and transcripts and depositions pertaining to how these flight logs came to be and how, like I said, Virginia Giuffre was sex trafficked from Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump had a little comment on that yesterday. Did y'all care to hear it? About how he knew that she was from Mar-a-Lago, how he knew that Epstein took her, and he didn't like when he took her. He didn't like when he kidnapped those girls, right? Especially Mar-a-Lago, where he lives. That hits really close to home. That really incriminates him, and that's why he had to have a deposition of why, in fact, if he associated with, if he partied with Mr. Trump. And on that question, that time, in that deposition, clearly and very transparently, Jeffrey Epstein sought to plead the 5th and the 6th and the 14th Amendment, and a whole bunch of other amendments, guys. He did not want to incriminate Donald. Donald and him were best friends, of course, and Donald got him out of troubles before, scrapes before. In fact, that final minute cut in the Epstein tapes, I'm pretty sure it's nothing but a phone call to Donald Trump saying, Donnie, you said you'd get me out when you became president, bro. How much longer do I have to wait in this goddamn hellhole? He's like, just a minute, man. Just a minute, Peaches.
In 2008.
Just a minute, and we're here with Stormy.
The current position is to downplay the relationship, saying their connection was typical for Palm Beach. But the clamor hasn't died down, especially now that Democratic Representative Mark Veazey has introduced a resolution demanding a full release of Epstein files, criticizing both the content and the administration's transparency.
Okay, so we're all just criticizing the transparency, quote unquote, of the administration. 392, unknown. Welcome to Domination Politics. Are you free-thinking, innovative, and open-minded?
Sure, yeah.
What would you like to talk about in comments today?
So I'm curious, are you also a Trump supporter or no?
To tell you what I am would be a more complicated issue, and it would actually just it would take away the issue of what I'm talking about right now, because it's not about me. It's really about actually America. It's about America first.
About America first, yeah.
What about you?
So,
what do you think?
How do I feel about the whole Epstein shit? It's like, it's crazy, right? He had the island. People are saying that Trump's on it. People are saying that a lot of people are on it. And, you got the people that are complaining the list isn't out yet. And hey, that is what it is, How do I feel about it? It's pretty bad. I mean, come on now.
Okay, so do you or do you not want the Epstein files to be released?
I
yes or no?
care less. If they come out, they come out.
Okay, so you can care less. Sharon, welcome to Tommy Nation Politics. How's it going?
It's fine.
What? You got a lot of background noise, Sharon.
Oh, just a minute.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and mute you while you're doing that. 392. If you don't care about the Epstein files and why they're released, and you probably didn't have a strong opinion about them in the first place, then why did you come up to comment?
I just wanted to see what your opinion on this was. Everybody is all of a sudden, politicians and shit. I just want to see what your angle on this was.
My angle on this is more about holding accountable people in the American. See, let me just tell you this. I'll just be short about it and brief. So the American people have decided that we are going to sacrifice our liberty for security. We're going to, neglect our birthright, and we're going to allow the Democrats and Republicans to promote the general welfare, to secure the blessings of liberty, and provide for the common defense, when it was our responsibility as Americans to do in the first place. As we've begun to do this, own more wealth than the bottom 90% combined, we've had income inequality persist in our country. We've had rampant poverty and crime and corruption persist in our country, and America has declined. And now I have no way of actually promoting the general welfare or securing the blessings of liberty or holding accountable the civil servants that are supposed to serve at the pleasure of the people. Because the people in this country have because of their laziness and because of their ignorance, they've let these Democrats and Republicans run rampant with corruption. And so they're so partisan now. There's no way I can touch a Democrat or Republican. They're so powerful now. I have no choice but to hold accountable the people that are doing this. So that's the only thing I have left to do. I have no other option or no other recourse but to hold accountable the people that are still voting for Democrats and Republicans after 50 years of neoliberal policies that have caused the destruction of the middle class, the degradation of our middle class, working class people, the stringent curtailing of our civil liberties, and the destruction of our principles and values. After the Democrats and Republicans have destroyed every part of America, they've beat America like a dead horse. There's nothing else for me to actually do but to hold accountable the people that are still voting for Democrats and Republicans. So that's all I can do now. So that's why I'm reaching out and I'm talking to you guys, and I'm trying to hold you guys accountable to what you think is a lesser of two evils. In reality, it's a personification of insanity. It's the definition of doing the same thing more times and thinking there's going to be a different result.
This is everything. The only solace for me is that when a group of people who've experienced trauma of this kind come together united against a common enemy, there's a very special bond between us all.
A painful bond shared among these 6 women sitting together for the first time for an exclusive interview with NBC News.
I find it very comforting to be here.
Marika Chartouni, Anushka DeGiorgio, and Rachel K. Benavidez sharing their stories about Epstein for the first time on television.
I think the nature of this kind of abuse means that you're conditioned to be silent, to be isolated, secretive, and shameful.
I feel like, it was a big game for him, and we were the pieces of his game.
And you're like, I'm just not going to say anything because that's what he told me to do.
The women all have familiar stories of grooming, promises, and then sexual assault.
I can relate to pretty much every person sitting here next to me.
Virginia Roberts-Giuffre says Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her one summer when she was working as a locker room attendant at Mar-a-Lago. In her first broadcast interview, Virginia tells NBC News what she has previously alleged in court filings, that Epstein directed her to also have sex with a number of powerful men, among them Britain's Prince Andrew.
He was an abuser. He was a participant.
Virginia says she was 17 when this photo was taken with the prince in Maxwell's London townhome, next to the bathroom where she says he sexually abused her.
What happened? The first time in London, I was so young. Ghislaine woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince. And then that night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, "Let's dance together." And I was like, okay. And we leave Club Tramp, and I hop in the car with Ghislaine and Jeffrey. And Ghislaine said, "He's coming back to the house. And I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein." I couldn't believe it.
Virginia says the abuse moved from the bathroom to a bedroom.
He wasn't rude or anything about it. He said, thank you, and some kind of soft sentiments like that, and left. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even royalty were involved.
She says Prince Andrew abused her 2 more times, once in New York in Epstein's mansion, and again at his Virgin Islands estate.
Prince Andrew, of course, denies that this ever happened.
He denies that it ever happened, and he's going to keep denying that it ever happened. But he knows the truth, and I know the truth.
What do you say if people think this is about money for you, that you're trying to get money and have gotten money?
Well, unfortunately, there's this horrible law called statute of limitations. My lawyer said the way to get Ghislaine Maxwell held accountable, the way to get Jeffrey Epstein held accountable, is through them saying I'm a liar, which I'm not. So it's called a defamation suit.
Like all others she's named, Prince Andrew has denied the allegations. Buckingham Palace telling NBC News in a statement, "It is emphatically denied that the Duke of York had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Virginia Roberts. Any claim to the contrary is false and without foundation." Maxwell has not been criminally charged and has repeatedly denied the accusations against her.
What does justice look like to you now?
Justice now is holding accountable the perpetrators that helped him and participated with him, and encouraging more people to come forward so we can try to put this puzzle together and understand how it happened. How did this happen for so long? How did he get away with it?
These are questions many of these women have asked, especially now, after Epstein's suicide in jail, awaiting trial on child sex trafficking and conspiracy charges.
I feel let down, that he was able to commit suicide. Yeah, it was really upsetting.
They failed us before. Don't fail us again.
Exactly.
That's all we're asking. Take us serious. We matter. You matter. You matter, and you matter. And for all the girls out there, you all matter too.
Yes.
A message to other possible victims of Epstein still waiting in the shadows.
Jeffrey thought that we were disposable, and he threw us all away. And look who's still standing.
There's something about seeing the group of women together with those shared stories that is incredibly compelling.
Bloomberg reported on Friday that President Donald Trump's name and others were redacted from Epstein documents, citing multiple people familiar with the matter. Bloomberg's Jason Leopold reported that an FBI Freedom of Information Act team conducted a final review of volumes of documents related to late billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. The team was reportedly tasked with redacting the name of Trump, a former friend of Epstein, and other prominent public figures. The final review occurred before the release of a Department of Justice/FBI memo determining Epstein committed suicide, and that further disclosure of files was not warranted, setting off a MAGA firestorm. As Leopold noted in the report, Trump was a private citizen during the investigation into Epstein and therefore is entitled to privacy on the matter. Much has been written about Trump's former friendship with Epstein, though his name appearing in the files does not necessarily point to him being guilty of any crimes or wrongdoing. Epstein died of an apparent suicide in 2019 while being charged with sex trafficking. He was already a convicted child predator at the time. The DOJ/FBI memo has led to backlash among Trump's base, with major MAGA figures like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly calling for the release of more documents. Trump has ordered that more be released to the public, but he's called theories about a client list of abusers associated with Epstein a hoax. According to Bloomberg's report, FBI officials found numerous instances of Trump's name and others appearing in thousands of documents related to Epstein. This is a breaking story, and it has been updated. The post-Trump's name redacted from Epstein files report first appeared on Media.